Hi friends, Iteria here, and today I'm going to be going over the rewards for the Moogle Treasure Trove The Hunt for Goetia event that is starting on Tuesday, October 15th and going until the release of patch 7.1, which will be sometime in November. I don't think we have an exact date yet. Anyway, I'm going to be going over all of the different rewards that are on offer and explaining which ones I think are worth it and which ones are not. So without any further ado, let's just get into it. Up first, we have the Donut Earring. This costs 100 Moogle Tomestones. This is the exclusive item for this Moogle Tomestone event. I think it looks pretty cute, so I think I will be farming for it. But obviously, if this is something that you don't like and you don't think you would wear, then there's no point in farming 100 Moogle Tomestones for it, but it is an exclusive, so that is something to consider. Next up is the Great Serpent of Ringa. This one costs 50 Moogle Tomestones, and this one was actually an exclusive from a past Moogle Tomestone event, so this is sort of a second chance to get it. I don't see them do that very often, but personally I'll definitely have to be getting this one. Next up, we have the Innocent Gwiber Trumpet. This is 50 Moogle Tomestones. This mount originally comes from the Crown of the Immaculate Extreme. Personally, I think this is one of the easier Shadowbringers trials to farm unsynced, so I don't really think this mount is worth it, especially not for 50. Maybe for 30, but obviously, that's up to you. Some people prefer farming it via the Moogle Tomestone event. They find this to be an easier farm. Obviously, there's multiple things during the Tomestone event that you can farm, so it doesn't have to be doing the same fight over and over and over, which can get boring. And then also, you have to fight RNG. First, the RNG of the mount even dropping, and then second, the RNG of your roll. So for some people, this will be worth it to get via the Moogle Tomestone event, but I personally don't think it's worth it, but you get to decide that for yourself. The next item on the list is another mount. It is the Alte Roite Prism, and it costs 50 Moogle Tomestones. This one is absolutely not worth farming via the Moogle Tomestone event. It comes from Deltascape V 4.0 Savage, and you might be getting scared when you hear the word Savage. However, this is such an old Savage that I actually soloed it as a white mage, unsynced. If you do this in a party of other players, you are going to absolutely steamroll this boss. And the other thing to consider is that, unlike extreme trials, the mount drops are guaranteed in Savage. Every single run you do, there will be a mount in the coffer, I believe. So you would only have to do 8 runs of this if you did a party of 8 people, but it is so steamrollable that honestly, like I said, I soloed it. You could do it with like 1 or 2 friends. As long as you watch out for the knockbacks, maybe watch a quick guide just to see which knockbacks are where, so you don't fall off the platform, but as long as you don't get knocked off the platform, you can do this one pretty easily. Next is the Hades Barding. This is 50 Moogle Tomestones. Originally, you would have to get a Hades Orchestrion from the Minstrel's Ballad, Hades Elegy, and then be able to craft or have a crafting friend create this barding for you. I will say that Hades is not a very hard fight, especially unsynced. However, it does have a cutscene that can take a little bit of time, so it's kind of annoying because that makes it take longer. And then there's also the RNG for the Orchestrion to drop, as well as your RNG winning it versus other people. If you buy this on the market board, the prices can kind of range greatly between like 500k and 900k. So that is something to consider. If you really like this barding, maybe it is worth getting it via the Moogle Tomestone event instead of having to worry about the RNG or having to pay money for it. If that's a lot of money to you, you might not want to spend that much. Moving on, we have the Modern Aesthetics Early to Rise hairstyle. This is going for 50 Moogle Tomestones, and I ultimately do think it is worth it. There's a few ways to get this. It is a rare drop into Lubrum Reginae, I believe. However, you can also farm Bosgen coins for it, and it will cost 5 Bosgen gold coins and 30 silver Bosgen coins. I'm not sure how long that farm would take, but it could be a bit of time. This costs about 1 million gil on the market board, and I could definitely see this as being worth it if you don't feel like farming Bosja, or maybe you're a lower level and you haven't unlocked Bosja yet, but you really like this hairstyle. It's kind of funny because when this hairstyle first came out, I paid 11 mil for this crap, and then I never even used it. It is a really cute hairstyle though. I do really like it, and I do ultimately think that this could be worth farming via this event. And if you go ham, this is one of those things that you could potentially farm and keep a few on hand to sell later. They'll probably drop in price once the Moogle Tomestone event happens, but then they'll go back up. So I mean, that is another option, is wait for the price to drop and buy it on the market board, or farm your 50 Moogle Tomestones. It's really up to you, but I do think that this one would be worth it. Next up is the twice Stricken Orchestrion roll. They want 50 Moogle Tomestones for this. If you buy this on the market board, it costs 570k. It is originally from Eden's Verse Fulmination. Considering how much it costs, it seems like it must be a bit of a rare drop. So this one would probably be worth farming if you like this song, because you might not have the best RNG. Fulmination is a pretty easy fight, but again, it's kind of rare for a reason. The RNG is probably not very good. So maybe, like I said, if you like this song, it would be worth farming via this event. The next item up for grabs is the Malevolence emote, also known as Ballroom Etiquette Dark Entreaty. They want 50 Moogle Tomestones for this one. This usually comes from the Bosgen Southern Front. You have to farm 50 Bosgen clusters in order to get it. I actually think farming 50 Bosgen clusters wouldn't take that long. It might even be faster than farming 50 Moogle Tomestones. It's hard to say. You're kind of trading a grind for a grind. It's really, would you rather grind the Moogle Tomestone event, or would you rather grind Bosja? That's the question. I don't think either is necessarily better. I'll also note that this is 370k on the market board, so purchasing it that way is an option, and at the end of the day, it's up to you if you think this one is worth farming or not. Similarly, we have the Scheme emote available for 30 Moogle Tomestones. This one is known as Ballroom Etiquette Ideal Gossip. This one comes from heat warped lockboxes in Eureka, or it's about 500k on the market board. Now, I personally haven't done Eureka, so I'm not going to be the best judge of how fast it would be to possibly get this from Eureka. There are other items that can drop from those lockboxes. I do know that much, so there would be some amount of RNG. 30 Moogle Tomestones isn't a lot. That's basically your weekly Moogle thing. Like, you know how with these Moogle Tomestone events, the new ones have been different and there's like weekly objectives? I'm pretty sure that's what you get is 30 per week, so that's pretty easy to get this one if you want it. So again, it's going to be up to you, but I would say it's probably worth it. Moving on to the Casual Attire Coffer, they also want 30 Moogle Tomestones for this one. This usually comes from the Goobbue of Fortune minigame, which is part of the Ishgard restoration stuff. Otherwise, it is 300k on the market board. I think this one would be worth it if you are not interested in crafting or doing Ishgard restoration stuff in the firmament, or if you don't want to pay 300k for it. Again, 30 Moogle Tomestones is not that much, so I think this could possibly be a good one to get if this is an outfit that you enjoy. This next one, I cannot believe they put it on here for as much as they did. It is towels, a housing furnishing item. They want 30 Moogle Tomestones for this, but here's the kicker. It costs 3k wolf marks. So this is like the least worth it thing of this whole event. Do not spend 30 Moogle Tomestones. It's so easy to get wolf marks. Like I'm always overcapping on wolf marks, so this one's ridiculous. Moving on is a favorite. This one is worth it every single time. It is the MGP Platinum Card. This will reward you with 50,000 MGP, and it costs 30 Moogle Tomestones. This is always a good one to get, especially if you're working towards the 2 mil or 4 mil MGP mount, or if there's just other stuff that you want. There's a lot of cool stuff in the gold saucer available as prizes, so these are always fantastic to get. Next up, we have the Drake Horn for 30 Moogle Tomestones. This usually comes from the Amalj'aa Allied Society. We used to call them Beast Tribes. I do kind of like that they don't call them Beast Tribes anymore. It makes way more sense considering the Allied Societies in Dawntrail and even in Endwalker. But it's kind of weird. They're called Allied Societies, right? Either way, I don't personally think this one is worth getting via the Moogle Tomestone event. It's really easy to farm these Allied Society quests. You do have to be trusted in order to get this. Like, you have to rank up to trusted, and you do have to pay 120k to get it from the vendor, so it is a little bit expensive, but I honestly just don't think it's worth getting with the Moogle Tomestone event because the tribes, the Allied Societies, whatever, they go by so quick. Like, you will have this in like 2 to 3 weeks. Just like, to me, it's like, don't waste your time. Get cooler stuff from the Moogle Tomestone event. It's a cool mount. I like the little fiery breath, but it's so easy to get in the game that it's really, to me, a waste of time to farm it via Moogle Tomestone. And the same is true of the Laurel Goobbue. This one is worth 30 Moogle Tomestones as well. This one comes from the Self-Allied Society. Again, 120k from the vendor there. And once again, yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I think you might as well just farm it doing the Allied Society quest because it won't take that long. But again, ultimately up to you. I just think that there's better stuff to spend the Moogle Tomestones on. More mounts here. We have the Lunar Kamuy Fife. This comes from the Minstrel's Ballad Tsukiyomi's Pain, so an extreme trial. It's really easy to steamroll this extreme trial if you do it unsynced, especially if you do it, with other players. You don't even need a full party, but up to you what you want to do. Again, because this requires some amount of RNG and luck with your rolls, this one could be worth farming. If you would rather just do the Moogle Tomestone event and be ensured that you're going to get this, 30 is not that many, this might be the way that you decide to farm this, but it's up to you because the old extreme trials are really gosh darn easy to unsync. And it's the exact same situation with the Euphonious Kamuy Fife. Again, 30 Moogle Tomestones, comes from Hell's Gear Extreme. Same situation, super easy to steamroll this one unsynced, but you might not want to deal with RNG. So that is your choice in the end if you think that this one is worth it to farm with Moogle Tomestones or not. We've got some housing items again, starting with the Qiqirn Shelf, which costs 20 Moogle Tomestones. I don't really think this one is worth it because you can get it from anywhere between 30 and 70k on the market board. It's also craftable. This one just, it's not that special. It's not really rare. It's not really hard to get. So there's no reason to farm Moogle Tomestones for it. The same is true of the Mogbureau. They also want 20 Moogle Tomestones for this. This one's even worse though. You can literally get it for under 1,000 kill on the market board. Also craftable. Definitely not worth the Moogle Tomestones. Very cute, but not worth farming Moogle Tomestones for. Now we have a couple outdoor furnishings. We have this Glade Gazebo. This is also 20 Moogle Tomestones. This is a pretty popular item. You've probably seen it in people's yards before, but it is worth under 2,000 gil on the market board, and it's craftable, and it's, again, really not worth farming the Moogle Tomestones for. The same is true of the next outdoor furnishing, the Garden Tool Shelf, which they want 20 Moogle Tomestones for. This one you can get for under 1k on the market board. It's also craftable, and obviously just not worth farming considering how cheap it is. And we are back in the house again for the Heavenly Ornamental Array, which costs 20 Moogle Tomestones. This is a really beautiful housing item. I really do like it, but you can get it for roughly 70k on the market board. It is craftable. A lot of people will probably be able to make this themselves. Overall, I don't think that this one is worth farming for the price. I feel like 20 Moogle Tomestones is maybe a little bit much for this. Very beautiful piece. Overall, probably not worth it. Next, we have the wind-up Amalj'aa minion for 15 Moogle Tomestones. This costs 25,000 gil from the Amalj'aa Allied Society. I'm not sure what ranking you need to get this one. I'm not sure if it's trusted to unlock it. I really don't know. But again, the Allied Societies are really easy to do, so I would not recommend farming this. When you go and get that Drake mount, you can also get this thing if you want it. You'll notice there are a boatload of Shisui pieces available, each one for 15 Moogle Tomestones. Now, these are fantastic gear pieces. I really like them. They're very sexy. They're not everyone's style. As for whether or not they are worth farming, it's hard to say because, you know, it's really easy to go in Shisui of the Violet Tides unsynced. Even doing it solo is really easy and you just completely steamroll it. But again, sometimes you can have really, really bad luck with your RNG if there's a specific piece that you want and it just won't drop. So, you know, if you're having trouble getting that piece to drop, here it is. But otherwise, it is really easy to farm these. Next, we have the 3 special maps, each for 15 Moogle Tomestones. So what these are is 70, 80, and 90 treasure maps with guaranteed portals. I would say all of these are probably worth it because in each one you can get crafting materials that are used for things that are still pretty popular. For example, the Frontier outfits, the Calfskin Rider outfit, those come from the level 80 ones. The Raincoat, Owl Dye, the mats for those are from level 70. There's also like the Maple Tree, I think some like leaves that go on the ground. There's some furnishing, outdoor furnishing stuff from the level 70 ones you can get. And from the level 90 ones, we have like the Salon Server outfit, the Martial Artist outfit. The mats needed for those come from there. So I think that these with a guaranteed portal could be worth it. Next, we have all of these riding maps. These are not worth getting. You can fly, and flight is faster and more convenient and easier to navigate up and over and around things than riding. So there's really no reason to get these at all. As for the Triple Triad card, I would say these are worth going for. They're so cheap, which makes them easy to get. And the reason I think they're worth it is because personally, I'm really bad at Triple Triad, so if I have to play an NPC to get these, it's not going to happen. And then secondly, some of these are RNG if it's going to drop, or if it's a guaranteed drop, such as the one, this 2P card will be a guaranteed drop from Nier. Everybody can roll on this. Even if they already have the card in their deck, they can roll on it, and people will roll on it if they're me, because I roll on them, to go and trade them in for MGP. So you're not guaranteed to get it, basically. You could have a bad roll. So for only 7, it's like, hey, why not? Might as well get it. Next, we have the Wind Up Nu Mou for 7 Moogle Tomestones. Normally, this costs 800 sacks of nuts, which is the hunt currency. So in my opinion, if you don't have this and you want it, you think it's cute, get it from the Moogle Tomestone event, because 800 nuts, put that towards some materia and then sell the materia and make some money. Why bother spending 800 nuts on this? I feel like nuts are such a great way to make money that it's like, don't waste your nuts, when instead you could just do 7 Moogle Tomestones. It's like way easier, way better. So definitely get this with Moogle Tomestones if you don't have it and if you actually want it. Another minion up for grabs is the Armadillo Bowler, also for 7 Moogle Tomestones. I love this thing. It's a little armadillo on a ball and it rolls as you run. It's just kind of silly and cute. This comes from Amalj'aa as well. It's a drop from there, or you can buy it for about 60k on the market board. And you know what? For 7 Moogle Tomestones, I think that's fair. I say, why not get it? Save yourself 60k and save yourself bothering, with RNG and Amalj'aa as well. Might as well get it. We've got another Orchestrion roll, the 777 Whiskers Orchestrion roll. This comes from the Nu Mou tribe, the Nu Mou Allied Society, whatever they're called these days. And it only costs 3 Nu Mou Kobans, so the Nu Mou currency. I really don't think it's worth getting it from the Moogle Tomestone event. Just get it from the Nu Mou tribe. It is a cute song, though. Next up, we have Curial Root. This costs under 100 gil on the market board, so it's really not worth paying 5 Moogle Tomestones for it, in my opinion. Even if you do get 5 of them for it, it's just not worth it. And finally, we've come to the end. The Magicked Prism Job Mastery times 10 for 1 Moogle Tomestone. You're really only probably gonna buy these if you have like an awkward number of leftover Moogle Tomestones and you literally can't get anything else. So that is that. That is everything from the Moogle Tomestone event and the information about where to get them and whether or not they're worth it. Obviously, some of these will be up to your own discretion. Everybody has different things that they care about, as well as, different willingnesses to farm certain things. Sometimes it's just more fun or less annoying to farm the Moogle Tomestone event than it is to possibly farm other things. So that said, please let me know in the comments, what do you plan to farm from this Moogle Tomestone event? And if you found this video helpful, please consider leaving a sacrifice to Lord Algorithm in the form of a like, comment, share, or subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my channel members for supporting me. Bye!